asking had to pay the difference in his salary. Different trust.
Good evening, everyone. Will you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Vaughn.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Hayward.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Sharp.
Here.
McLaughlin.
Here.
Hannah.
Here.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We're at public hearing time, but nobody has checked in, so we'll go past that. I'm going to turn it over to Al to introduce our building inspector.
We have Todd Sheretz with us here this evening as our new building and code enforcement official. Todd has a wealth of experience and background in construction management and is learning the code enforcement aspect.
You bet. My name's Todd Sheretz. I'm a graduate of Independence from the year 2000. Hopefully, he'll trying to fill Doug's shoes here. Like you said, I know quite a bit about construction. Grew up, my dad was a contractor locally. Went from residential to recently commercial, and I'm also a home inspector as well. So I've grasped a lot of different aspects of the construction world. So hopefully I can help Independence out.
Welcome. Very good.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Looking
Thank you,
forward to
Todd.
it. Thank you.
Todd's first day, I believe, is the 20th of December. So he'll have about 5 days with Doug to get acclimated to the office and the bookwork and kind of where Doug's at with both the code side as well as the construction projects we have underway.
His office is going to be out at the Streets Department.
Todd's office will be at the street shop. We have an extra office there. We have a desk. We'll have the computer and phones and what have you set up for him. So that will be his office moving forward.
Great.
You put
Thank you.
him under the influence of Tim?
I'm sure he can handle it.
He
Thank
said he
you.
has broad
Welcome aboard.
shoulders.
Oh, okay.
Next on the agenda is Officer Lau. Always look forward to seeing you.
I always look forward to seeing you guys too. Since last month, just been busy finishing up the year-end projects. I know over the last 3 to 4 years that we've been doing this, I've kind of talked about how each year it's gotten better. This year will be the first year that we actually did not have any infractions go to a court proceeding. So everybody has been in compliance this year and followed through, and we did not have to take that extra step going to court. So like I said, we started out, with maybe 10 for the year, down to like 8 or 5 and so on. And this year we didn't have any. So, I mean, that's a pretty good thing. Saves the city some money on attorney's costs and court costs and all that stuff too. And we still managed to get those properties cleaned up. So still just kind of finishing up the last couple properties here before the weather really takes a turn on us since we are in December. So other than that, I did get out a press release here within the last couple weeks on snow removal. I don't want to say that and then jinx it, but so far so good. Just reminding residents, that they've got 24 hours after that snowfall ends to try to get their sidewalks and things clear, and not to be throwing their snow or pushing their snow out into the road, which it would impede traffic. So that press release has been put out there. But like I said, other than that, from last month's time, just again trying to finish up things from the year to try to get the junk properties and junk vehicles to a point to where we can kind of rest until spring again, with the weather being nasty. So other than that, look forward to working with Todd, kind of getting him on the ropes so he can kind of take over the program and kind of follow suit with what we've got started. So.
What's the update on 6th Avenue northeast, that house up there, by the light plant?
Well, that one I actually just talked to Doug about the other day, and it's being looked at, and they're going to start looking at what they can do with it. But I think there's a little bit of a problem from what Doug said as far as who actually owns that property as of right now. I believe it's still in the current owner's name, but yet there's ties to some bank that's got it, I think, because there's money owed on it.
Is that 6th and 7th?
Yeah, yep. So I don't know full.
Holes in the foundation, there's holes in the roof.
Yeah.
There's a neighbor's trapping an average of 8 critters a week.
Yeah, yeah. I talk to Irv up there pretty regularly, but yeah, that's one that's been bad, and I know Doug's been looking at it, but to get the full scoop on where he's at on that, because it is on the building code side of it, you might want to check with him. I know, and we did talk about a couple other properties that I brought up to him too, that were in the same nature and saying that we always get complaints about. So those are on the list too. So my guess is that there's a list being compiled that will be taken over by Todd shortly, so. Anybody else have anything from last month?
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for your
Appreciate
service
it.
for us.
Yep, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the November 16th, 2018 regular meeting, Lucky 10 Lanes, Class C and Sunday sales liquor license, January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, River Edge Sports and Fitness, Class C or Class B beer, includes wine coolers, native wine permit, and Sunday sales liquor license, February 3rd, 2019 through February 2nd, 2020, and the city financials for the month. Do I hear?
So moved.
Motion by Sharp,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is the approval of claims.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, we are down to a public hearing for proposed amendment to the urban renewal plan for 2018 Park Meadow Urban Renewal Area. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Now I need a motion to actually hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing. Did you receive anything at all? Anything? Okay. Anybody out there wanted to respond to this?
We do have Mr. Skogman here, if he wants to come up and tell you a little bit about it.
Appropriate time to step forward or not, I guess it is.
Just introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Skogman, president of Skogman Homes. Just give you a little background. About 6 months ago, we were contacted by George Lake about the need of some housing, in particular Independence, but in Buchanan County. He gave us a tour around. We got a chance to meet with Al a number of times, did some research on our own, and eventually led to us getting a contract on the land that you're now talking about. Our thoughts is that, and the study I think that you actually, or the county had done, showed that there was and is a need for what in our industry we call workforce housing. To be more specific, that price range is typically in that $200,000 to $220,000 range. I know that seems high when we talk about it. It does to me, especially having been in the business for 40 years and can remember when it was half that price. But that is, what it is today with the products that are going into homes. Just to give you an idea, that's typically a 1,300 to 1,500 square foot above grade with a full basement, 2-stall attached garage, energy efficient products, furnaces and air conditionings that would be highly energy efficient. The home's exteriors are typically very maintenance free. That's what we're seeing, especially entry-level buyers today don't want to spend a lot of time taking care of the exteriors of their home. So that would be typical what we would see. We've built products similar to what we're talking about in this area in Mount Vernon or just starting in Mount Vernon, and have built them in Cedar Rapids and in Waterloo as well, and have been well received. We have had quite a few discussions, as I said, with the city manager with respect to doing some public, or to do some improvements to the public streets that you have on 5th and 6th Avenue. They're apparently been on your program or schedule to have some work done, and so we'll be able to probably expedite that if everything goes. I think we're looking at maybe $270,000 worth of improvements to existing streets. So really that in a nutshell is what we've been doing, and we've had a lot of good conversations with city staff. We've met with your subcommittee as well, and really I guess I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Was there land for 14 houses down there, is that?
14 homes, correct. And they're not terribly wide. They're 68 feet, but they're really deep, 168 feet. So over 11,000 square feet, which is a big lot. And in any area that we build, 10,000 square feet is kind of the starting, not starting, but what is considered a nicer sized lot anymore.
Maybe for the people on television, where is your subdivision going to be located?
What's the best way to, I mean, it's between 5th and 6th and right next, above your
The old
water
high
park, right?
North of the
Or the old high school, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is the site of the old high school. It's directly north of the aquatic center on the property that's vacant there. It's a bare lot currently.
It really looks like it'd be a desirable location, especially people with kids, be close to the pool area.
That's what our study
Yeah.
would indicate, and from people, we've talked to quite a few people in the community now that have indicated that, as long as we keep the price at a certain level based on what the perceived need is anyway.
Now, when you pour the basements, you're going to pour an egress window or two in the basement, so if they choose to finish the basement themselves, or?
Thanks for asking that. We design every house to have a finished lower level. Now, it may not have it to start with, but it'll be designed that way, so it'll have egress windows. We rough in for a bath and show where an additional bedroom could eventually be. So we find a lot of these homes over a period of 3 or 4 years will finish lower level, add bedrooms and baths in the lower level and a rec room, and so yeah.
You'll have that framed up as part of the price?
We don't totally frame the lower level. In the base price, we sit down hopefully with the buyer and say, okay, what is it you want right now? Do you want it totally framed? Do you want it totally finished? We'll do that probably on about 25 to 30% of the house actually have us finished the lower level to start with. A lot of times they need an extra bedroom right from the start, either for kids or
So we only
parents.
build as you sell them, they won't be spec homes?
We'll have spec homes. Thanks for asking that. We usually build about half spec and about half pre-sale. We find that people who need a spec home because you have somebody moving into the community doesn't want to wait, 5, 6 months to get started, or you sell your house and you need to get out in 30 or 60 days. So we will typically have 2 or 3 spec homes ready at any one time, and then hopefully a couple pre-sales going at the same.
It's still a spec home that you could go in and finish the basement if they chose to, is that right?
Yep. We've had some spec homes that are, the upstairs is totally finished. People come in and buy it, want the lower level, we'll come back in with our crews and, and finish those. Our hope is to get started in early spring. we'd be able to, some lots we could actually, while we're doing some of the, the infrastructure as far as some sewer and water, we could actually get started with some foundations and do it simultaneously. So technically, the first home could probably be done by end of July or August.
Very good. Any other questions or comments?
This public hearing really is to look at creating the urban renewal district. This is in an area where there is not a district currently, so you're creating a new district. You're also going to be asked to set a date for a public hearing on the proposed development agreement. I believe on the 26th is what we're targeting for that. We have to go through the steps to create the district so that we can do the development agreement inside that district after it's been created. So
Okay.
tonight is about creating the district for this project and get it started.
Thank you for your
coming.
time.
Thank you for being here. I would ask for a motion then to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Now we're going into a motion to approve a resolution to declare necessity and establish an urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and approve urban renewal plan and project for the 2018 Park Meadow Urban Renewal Area.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Now we're, resolution setting the date. You're saying this is going to be for December 26th rather than January?
Well, we'll see what they have on here. I'll follow the guidance of the bond council. January 14th
Okay.
at 6:30.
Okay, resolution setting the date of January 14th at 6:30 for a meeting at which it is proposed to approve and develop agreement with the Skogman Construction. I hear a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hayward,
Second.
Scharf for second. Do you need a roll call on that, too?
Yes.
Okay.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, a motion to waive the second and third readings to approve an ordinance provided for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the 2018 Park Meadow Urban Renewal Area for the final time.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin,
Second.
second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, public hearing on proposal to enter into a sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Then I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, or O'Loughlin, I'm sorry.
Second.
Yours looks like, second by Scharf. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing. Did you receive anything on this one?
I have not.
Okay. Anyone that wanted to speak to this that is out there? Any comments from the council?
As a reminder, this is the SRF, or the state revolving fund, revenue fund for the public projects. The reason that we're using the SRF loan is to pay for the improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. The portion of the repayment of these funds can be used for other water quality projects around the community. So the most significant piece of this loan is our ability to recapture some of our repayment for water quality projects. A good example would be a stormwater project or a, we talked about Malone Creek and some of the issues with water coming in from the north end of town with Malone Creek. We also have some stormwater projects that we want to take a look at, again, primarily in the north side of town, but any place in the community, this would be eligible.
Okay. Then I would request a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hayward. Do you need a roll call? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Moving on, we have resolution authorizing and approving a loan and disbursement agreement providing for the issuance and securing the payment of $1,565,000 sewer revenue bond series 2018. I need a motion to pass a resolution authorizing and approving this loan.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by,
Second by Hill.
oh,
Okay.
Hill, I'm sorry. Second by Hill. Roll call.
Scharf,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the item is a public hearing for home occupational permit for butlers. I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Scharf and second by O'Laughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. And so we are in public hearing at this point. Anything you received on that? Any responses from neighbors? Don't see anybody out there. Okay, any comments from council members?
that's the same business they've had,
Yes.
same people, and
Yeah.
they had to pay the $50 rather than 25 because it was late, is that right?
Yeah, Susie told me that they chose not to renew during renewal, and then she got an application for, one just a few weeks ago, so.
Hearing nothing, I will ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve a home occupation permit for Butler's Travel Service.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hayward. Roll call, please.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is attorney communication. Do you have something you wanted to present or options or?
You do have on your dais a memo from the city attorney that I'll let him reference.
All right, well, the last meeting, I was directed to provide some options, alternatives to the current policy for communications with the city attorney and requesting legal advice and opinions, which would provide more direct access to council members. I provided a memo on the topic with a number of alternatives. I can either go through those or I can field questions, whatever you'd prefer. Okay, basically in terms of options, the only, of the 14 cities we represent, most operate as you do, presently. The first alternative I threw out there is the only other kind of arrangement that we have, which is a city which basically has, their council members have unfettered access to the city attorney. It's also a city with a historically very, very large legal budget, so they don't typically have the same concerns Independence does with hitting that budget mark year after year after year. There's kind of is a fluctuating budget where, you know, they pay what they pay for legal services, and they look at it at the end of the year, and it is what it is. A lot of smaller cities, and I know Al, you know, keeps a close eye on this, and I think from the document that went around last time we met, stays pretty well on track, being about halfway through the cycle and about halfway through the budget. So the biggest concern with that type of policy is the budget getting out of control, because there's, you know, you've got 7 different council members, you know, calling the city attorney whenever they have a question, when a lot of the times the city manager could answer some of those questions. And we found that it almost inherently leads to politicking and council members trying to politicize the city attorney and get them on their sides. So when an answer will be asked in a particular way, the response will be forwarded to the entire council, and then we'll have it asked another, 3 different ways. One thing I think Al tries to do with the present policy is to present his legal questions as neutrally as possible. At least that, I haven't talked to Al about this. That's how I feel, when the questions come to me. It's in a fairly neutral fashion. What is the law? Can we do what's being proposed? One way to make this work is with self-policing. We keep pretty good track of our time. We would say telephone conference with council member such and such about such and such with might say like .2 for 12 minutes, and email the council regarding same .2. So you'd see that's a .4, and roughly, I'm horrible at math, around a $70 charge that was initiated by a particular council member. And like I said, that would go out, a note would go out about what advice was given to everybody, because the council's the client, council's entitled to the advice it pays for. The self-police, in the one city we talked, referenced, it was out of control for a while, and the self-policing kicked in at one point, and council members were like, come on, you're driving up the budget. And it fettered out over time, but it took a while, and it fluctuates with time. It also can create, a difficult situation for the city attorney, having to answer to so many folks. So it's not terribly easy from our respect, and from all those reasons, we typically will request that primary correspondence go through, an individual, whether it be a city manager, mayor, or both. Alternatives could be to limit direct access in some way, so that to still direct most communications through the mayor, the manager, or someone who's got an eye on that legal budget, and can frame the question in a neutral fashion, and distribute that out to everyone. Another possibility, Councilmember Hill actually suggested this. I have no experience with it, and I took a little spin on it, because I think it was proposed as a monetary threshold for the whole council. And I thought perhaps a better idea, and the figure provided was just an example, but just to have a monetary amount, or an amount of hours a year allocated to each council member, that they'd have to ration and save for matters they feel it's critical that they contact the city manager or city attorney about, that would settle some of the budgetary concerns.
One question on that, does that include if you have to do research would be in that number?
I would propose so much because you don't want, yeah, I don't want to, I don't think it's proper for, I don't want individual council members sending me on a 10-hour research project. I think that, a project of that scope and nature needs to come from the whole council, the manager, or the mayor. I would imagine and hope that individual contacts would be more limited. One example I throw in here are, individual ethical concerns. Those are issues where, frankly, I would like personal contact with council members. If they feel they have a issue with a family member being appointed to something, or a business-related contractual concern. Because the way that works is that's the council member's decision of whether they abstain from that or not, and that can impact the council as a whole.
I'm just thinking from conversation that I've heard, I don't think the questions you would be asked would be answerable probably in a 10-minute phone call. You probably wouldn't want to answer it in a 10-minute phone call.
Right, that's why I speak of rationing, because, that, a 5-hour threshold, 5 hour per council member, that might be, to the extent it's not something I can answer off the top of my head, you might be looking at 1 to 2 questions, considering on the complexity.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think probably you need to include, if we set a level for each council member, that needs to include research time too, not just your 10 minutes on the phone. That-
Right, and,
I think that he's done what we've asked him to do to give us some options, and I think what we should do in the essence of time and everything, let us talk about these in our next meeting of the whole, or in our next strategy meeting that we have, because there's no big rush on getting anything decided. That'd be my opinion.
Mine too.
Yeah. And I was just
Good idea.
asking for clarification.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
And just to nothing in here is exhaustive. You could combine this and that. You could come up with your own scheme. But again, what has worked with us the best probably is where we do have a typical conduit to the council. It kind of keeps us from being a ping pong ball, and makes our jobs easier. But in any event, I can make myself available for any committee of the whole if you'd like me to be here to discuss the matter, or you can simply report to me.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks a lot for your help on that. Next on the agenda is a bow hunting request. Kevin Seidels is requesting permission to bow hunt during deer hunting season on his own property. He is, on your thing, you did have a map of his property and where it covers.
Did we have a question about this last year, somebody wanting to do something like this?
We gave
Young.
it
Yeah.
to
The
Kent
young
Young.
family.
Okay, I
Yep.
thought we did, yeah.
We did.
Did we ever get an address of the property location? We
Where
had the
Kev-
map, but it didn't have any address.
This is on the end of
10th Street.
10th Street Southwest. No, I don't have a street address for you.
think he's lived
I'd
there
make
for
a
years.
motion to approve it.
I'd second it.
Okay, I have a motion from Hayward, second by O'Laughlin, to approve a bow
And then
hunting for,
He's gotta come in every year to get it renewed, right?
yes.
The other property, the Youngs on the southeast side of town, they come in annually. That was the way the council felt the most comfortable. And if there are issues moving forward, that gives you a chance to address them each year as opposed to having to request them to come in and talk to the council.
Okay, so I do have a motion and a second to approve bow hunting for Kevin Seidels on his own property.
Just
other
one
questions?
question. I didn't have any complaints on last year's. Did anybody else?
No.
Okay.
Okay. If no other discussion, I will ask for a roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yeah.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We'll let Kevin know. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the hiring of seasonal snow removal staff at the airport. Do we want our airport committee member to come forward on this? Mr. Callahan.
Can't predict what's gonna happen with the snow. Our airport manager will adjust his schedule based on forecasts and things like that. Every once in a while, we're gonna get caught out on a weekend or when his hours are up or something. So we're requesting that we hire someone, on a seasonal basis, which would be much cheaper than paying him overtime to help him with snow removal.
Where does our airport manager live?
I don't know for sure. Not at the airport. He lives in town,
He lives in town?
or in the area. Do you know, Al, exactly where he's at?
No, I do not.
Seems
Yeah.
he's in Illinois about every weekend.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
That's the report I get.
When his time off, he gets to travel if he wants. I know he's doing some flying.
Well, we just had a meeting this afternoon about a police officer wanting to move more than 27 miles away from Independence, and we didn't let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's had many, many years of experience here. I was just thinking, if this guy lives in Illinois and he's not here for the weekend, that's self-explanatory.
Well, I mean, his time off is the same as anybody else's. If he's wanting to travel
So
on the
does police
weekend.
officers.
Not moving, but if he travels on the weekends, that, you know, that's on him.
The police department has a separate policy for reporting time that's been in place that is specific to the police department. We do not have a residence requirement for any other employee with the exception of the city manager.
When we hired this guy, I thought that he was gonna work it out with Cole. If he couldn't be there, that it was gonna get done. So now we're wanting more money?
Well, there's nothing in the lease agreement that says that they will move snow. They're providing coverage at the reception area. They're helping with fuel. They're stepping up above their actual agreement with those areas.
Didn't Cole originally agree to do that, though? If the manager wasn't around?
He agreed to help as he could, but like, he's out of town quite a bit as well. I know that for a fact. He's been flying in and out of Texas quite a bit. So what we're asking is when nobody else is around, that we have somebody come in on a part-time basis.
There's also times when you have a larger snowfall, it will take more than one person to clear the airport in a timely manner. And we've had more than one person doing snow removal at the airport for the last several years. We've just had it where the airport manager or the FBO, in this case, would have hired their own employees to do that, covering the second or third positions.
Is there any number of hours or dollar amount? I mean, we're kind of looking just at a
Blank
carte
check.
blanche here.
Yeah.
Well, I think the city manager manages the employees. I'm sure that he'll manage them responsibly.
Last year, we had less than $2,000 in the additional snow removal assistance that we had out there. Cole did have a second person to help him with snow removal last year as well, because if you remember right, he was doing the airport management at a very reduced rate and did help with snow removal, but in order to help out above and beyond that, he had two people authorized at $20 an hour to cover both wages and any of the work comp or payroll taxes that were a part of that.
We're kind of a day late, a dollar short. This should have been agreed upon when we hired him.
I
Well,
kind
this
of thought we was, but
This was my concern when we went from contract employee to, I mean, everybody heard.
Well, we talked about the possibility of overtime and everything. We're trying to be financially responsible. We figure this is a lot cheaper than paying overtime.
What's the, we're not got snow on the ground, or we're not mowing any grass, what's the manager doing right now?
A lot of maintenance right now.
Maintenance on what?
Lights, the
Does
navigation.
he keep track of all this?
Pardon?
Does he keep track of all this and gives you a documented?
Yeah, he gives them our update every month.
Okay, well, we'd like to have a report sometime too.
Okay.
We want to know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? We want to know where our money's going.
How would you like that? I
Just like
mean,
he
we
gives it-
document it in the minutes right now.
Well,
Is there something else you'd like?
Receipts, well, not so much the receipts, but what he did, if he changed the bulb here, changed it here, you know, I know that takes time. And so that gives me an idea that not only there's an item being bought, but a service being done. Do you see what I'm saying, Dan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'll make the.
It don't have to be complicated, I don't
Yeah.
mean it that way.
Well, he actually tells us, you know, I changed lights at this hangar, I did this, I did that. When I write the minutes, I haven't written that detail, but I can start, I can incorporate that, and then you can look at the airport minutes, and you'll have all the details. If you have any questions, he reports to Al, you know, so he can help you out with that too.
No, I understand it takes time, but somebody asks me, I can say, well, this has been going on. I can't say, well, he's fixing lights, or, you know, you understand what I'm saying, Dan?
Yeah, one of the things that we've tasked him with, he's got a couple of bigger projects coming up. We're kind of getting off task here a little bit.
No, that's fine.
Key control, you know, with all the changes in management, keys are everywhere and we don't know.
Yeah.
So he's working on that, figuring out how to control that. And the airport minimum standards are in need of revision, and that's the biggest project we've given him.
Good.
I don't know how to document how many hours he's spending, you know, on those kinds of things, but that's where he's gonna spend.
Well, see, some of them underlying things like that we need to know about, and the public needs to know too, actually. So what we're doing with our airport.
Yep, they're paying for him.
You betcha. Thank you.
I guess
what are you proposing
have a question.
to do are you thinking about hiring somebody like part-time? Or
the-
somebody on standby?
The seasonal aspect, my kid does it in Iowa City, and he has set hours and set days, so many hours a year. I don't think we're looking at anything like that. I think we're looking at somebody to come in when we have an exceptionally heavy snowfall, or if there's nobody else.
Have you talked to Shane about it? He's there every day anyway.
Well, he would be available, and we could
Right.
apply for the job.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I haven't talked to him.
I mean, you're not asking somebody to come in special. I mean, he's there anyway.
Well, I don't know how the hiring process for the seasonal works, if you have to have interviews or how that works, I really don't know.
Out of respect for the council, we do not bring seasonal positions to the council for any other department. Because this is near and dear to all of your hearts, I wanted to make sure the council was aware of this discussion and coming to you ahead of time. We have several options that are available to us. Some of them were there last year, others may be new faces to us. So it's not something that I want to blow out of proportion. It's just to make sure the council is aware of the discussion, aware of the fact that there is realistically a need for more than one person out there. Shane has the ability to work some overtime. That is the most expensive position you're going to have for snow removal. Still his responsibility. He is willing and very accommodating to flexing his schedule, looking at the weather. There are times when he'll have overtime, times that he can take something off during the week because he knows on Friday we're supposed to have snow and you know, address it that way. But it's still going to be more economical for us to have a seasonal employee.
I guess to kind of tail in with what Denny was asking, because the concern I had was, it's not something you just hire some guy off the street and say, okay, you're gonna go out there and plow snow today. Because there are standards of how they plow it and what requirements are and everything
It
else.
takes some training.
And that's the thing that really concerns me, that we're kind of got the cart behind the horse right now, that we're chasing this. But if we could find somebody that's done it for us prior, it makes a lot of sense. But, you know, those kind of contingencies, being an enhanced service airport, we have to have those kind of plans in place so that we're prepared.
If we hire a seasonal worker and the snow happens Monday through Friday or whenever, the manager can do it, we wouldn't be paying him anything, would we?
Right.
Or-
Right.
Most of your snowfalls, you will never use more than the manager. But, you know, if I get a foot of snow at the airport and the wind's blowing, it'll be tough for one person to first of all, move the snow and then to keep up with.
We've had one time this year so far that should have been moved.
We had one dusting, you know, it was about an inch that was there, that they should have been out and moving it.
And it didn't get done?
That did not get done. The day after the snowfall, there was a misunderstanding. The airport manager had worked with some folks to, he thought, have somebody there to fill in for him. We've covered that with the airport manager. That won't happen again. It happened to be on the weekend that he was off doing something
Getting married.
while he was getting married. yes.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, he thought he had it covered, and he thought he had somebody there to help him out, and there was a misunderstanding as to who was going to do what.
So for a day or so there, a plane couldn't get in or out?
It wasn't about a plane not being able to. The issue is if the runway markings are covered, they should be cleared. It wasn't that a plane couldn't land, it just wasn't up to the standard that we all expect.
I'd like to make a motion that we give the airport board authority to hire seasonal help for snow removal, not to exceed $2,000 for the current 18-19 winter.
I'll second that.
You have a motion by Hill, second by O'Loughlin. You want to read back what that is? Do you all understand what the motion is that you're voting on? We'll need a roll call.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thanks, Dan.
Next on the agenda is a motion to approve, resolution approving the final plating of the Area Pine Second Edition.
This is another portion of Steve G's development. This is the final plat for the area, that he's currently conducting construction in. The final plat has to be in place before he can sell property there, and this would allow him to start selling some of the condos that he's building.
What direction does this go from where he's building now?
Well, this is coming off of, I believe it's Spruce. This would be the cul-de-sac going north directly west of Cardinal Court. This would be the next road to the west.
Near the meeting house.
Oh,
Cardinal
okay.
Court.
Right. And there's some of the condos are coming down to the west, and then the cul-de-sac going to the north.
I'd make that motion.
I'll
Motion
second
by
it.
Hayward, second by Kurtz. Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we're doing a closed session per Iowa Code 220.17, 3 parentheses, negotiating sessions, strategy meeting of public employers, mediation, and deliberation process of arbitration shall be exempt from the provisions of Chapter 21. Need to ask the attorney if this is approved or okay to do this closed session.
Yeah, and I would just clarify for the record, it's a exempt session as opposed to a closed session. It's not an exception that 21 doesn't apply, it's a statutory exclusion that Chapter 21 does not apply.
Okay, so we are going into a closed session, though, or not?
An exempt session.
Which means,
Private session.
okay, meaning
It's
everybody.
effectually the same thing.
Either one,
It's
they
a
have to.
statutory- it's a
Either way, the
statutory-
people in the audience have to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you have a student that's here.
Do,